Good afternoon. Hi. I just wanted to take some time to share an experience that happened to me today and just hope that other people can learn from it. Not a big deal, but if you want to listen, feel free. Hopefully you can glean from it because I like learning from other people's experiences as well. Anyway, so I was in the park, got there, and as I got there, a couple that I see all the time is leaving, and the wife says to me, "Hey, we haven't seen you lately." But maybe it's because we've been coming early. I said, yeah, and I've been coming a little bit later too. So she goes, yeah, we're coming early because the people in the park are making us wear a mask as we're walking. And I said, you don't have to do that. You're walking with your husband and you're exercising. She goes, no, I try to show them the rules, even though because I have it in my pocket, but the guy didn't want to see it. And so we just want to keep the peace and we come early before they start and we leave. So I said, okay, and I waved bye to them. Very nice couple. And as they took off, that didn't really sit well with me because I've read some of the rules, of course, because I'm in the park, I'm out all the time. I wanted to make sure I'm not breaking them. And I understood that you can be in the park, you can be running or walking or biking, and especially if you're walking next to your spouse, you do not need a face mask. So when I started to ride around, I saw that the group of workers who were there were just starting. So they were in a group. Normally they're broken up into like two or three sections. So this was a good opportunity. So I waited till they were walking. And these are people, again, I see all the time when I'm there. We laugh. We I say hi as I go by. They're always giving me kudos, and we say hi. So I stopped behind them and I said to them kind of loud because I needed them to hear me. I was like 60 feet, like a long way away because they have a mask and I don't, and I wouldn't be walking up on them anyway. And I said, hey, can I ask you guys a question? And they were kind as always, and they turned around, all of them, and they stopped. And I said, hey, listen, I'm trying to find out, know what the rules are. If I'm in the park and I'm walking or exercising, do I need a mask? And they said, well, if you're riding your bike and you're running, no, but if you're walking, yes. I said, well, what if I'm walking, exercising, and especially if I'm by myself or I'm walking with somebody? They said, well, for safety and precaution, you should have a mask on. I said, I understand what you're saying, but what does the rule say, right? So I said, again, I'm not trying to start trouble. I just want to find out so that I'm not doing something I shouldn't be doing. And at the same time, I was smiling with them and, letting them know that I appreciate them being there because I didn't want them to think I was being confrontational in a bad way. You can still confront people, but not in a negative way. So I felt my energy levels start to go up and I had to bring it down. So I do respect when people feel that way, when they feel threatened, when their rights feel threatened. But again, if we're going to be effective, it's really a good thing if we could just calm ourselves down for a minute. And before I continue, I want to say, I know there's a whole lot more going on with this, with the racial imbalance, the racial injustice and everything going on with the riots. This conversation has nothing to do with that. So please don't, if you're seeing it through that lens and you want to be argumentative, you could take it somewhere else, right? This is not the place for it. This is just me speaking as I would on any other day outside of COVID-19. It's just so happened that COVID-19 rules apply to this, and outside of everything else that's going on. So please don't see it through those lenses. If you have aggression and issues you need to deal with, this is not the place because I don't tolerate any of that aggression here. So that said, I still love you. I talked to them and we talked for a minute and I asked the guy again, he goes, no, I forget the word he used. I just said it. But anyway, for safety and precaution, we want to make sure that you have your mask on. And I said, well, that's not what the rule says. Do you know what the rule says? He goes, and then they kind of shrug because they were not quite sure. I'm not saying they don't know exactly, but at that point, they were not able to tell me exactly what the rule said concerning the mask. So I said, okay, I understand that I need to have a mask available if I'm out here hanging out with people, or if I'm in a big group that I need to have it on, but being with my spouse or I don't have a spouse, a significant other, I don't have that either. Maybe I do, you just don't know. Anyway, being here walking with somebody because I know a husband and wife who they're out here, but then they were told that they needed to have their mask on. So the guy go back, well, for safety and precaution. I go, I know you keep saying that, but that's not what the rule says. So I said, what I'm going to do is, I thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I'm going to go back and research the rules and see what it says. And then if I'm wrong, for sure, I will, obey. But if I'm not, I'll let you know. So, maybe you can just review them. Okay. And then they say, okay, no problem. And we laughed it off. And I got on my bike and I started and I rode past them. And twice when I rode past them, they kudos, they said hello, because they're always like giving me kudos for riding the bike and, just being friendly. So it was a friendly exchange. So the reason I say that is to make sure that we know what the rules are, whether it's in this COVID-19 or whatever else you're going through. And if somebody who wants to enforce their own rules on top of what the law has said, then we need to be able to challenge that, right? I also, actually, when I rode around the second time, I saw a police officer and he was in his car. So I rode up to him, not right up in the car, but maybe, 10, 15 feet. And I asked him to roll the windows down and he rolled the window down and I said, can I ask you a question? And I asked him the same question. He goes, no, if you're exercising or if you're walking with somebody that unless you're in a group or you cannot maintain the 6 feet, then you need to have the mask on. Although we know that the mask is not a substitute for social distancing, because I know some of you are going to look at that too. I've already read it because I know you're going to look at it. But the thing is, if you're exercising or if you're with a spouse, right, especially, or somebody in your household, and you don't know if the person I'm walking next to is in my household or not, but we don't have to have a mask. So whether it's not so much the mask thing, the foundation of this conversation is to know your rights, know what you're entitled to, and then question if somebody is infringing on those rights because of their personal beliefs or their personal preferences, right? This is not for somebody to say, for example, I went yesterday to buy something and, you order the food and they put it on the little rack there and you come and you pick up the food and you leave. And of course, there are chances that you would pick up somebody else's food. I've done that before. So when I got there, my food wasn't ready and I was concerned because we had ordered a while ago and it turned out somebody had taken our food and the girl brought it back. The person brought it back and the girl who was preparing the food just took the bag and handed it to me and said, this is your food. I go, no, I don't want that. I said, can you please make me another set? Because I don't know where that food went. It left your establishment. And she looked at me, that was crazy. I'm paying a lot for that food, right? And whether or not that girl believes that I shouldn't have another one, it's my right. Right is not a legal right, but let's just say I'm entitled to get food that's fresh and not something that somebody had taken home. I don't know what that person probably never did anything with it. But the thing is to stand up for your rights and not let somebody else, because they feel a certain way, make you obey or do what they want you to do, right? Understand what your rights are, what the rules are, what you're entitled to, and then in a kind way, that girl was probably a little bit perturbed because she thought she was okay just giving me somebody else's food. And the guy next to me was like, very good for you. And I wasn't looking for kudos from him, but I guess maybe he just wanted to let me know that, yeah, you're entitled to get your own food, which I already knew. But anyway, I appreciate that. So we don't always have to be obnoxious. We shouldn't be obnoxious, but sometimes you can get a little bit perturbed. I understand that. But the thing is to check yourself. And I had to check myself this morning when I was talking to those people because I could feel myself getting a little excited and they were not getting excited. So I had to bring myself down and question. And if they're not sure, you're not sure, you go and you follow up, and which I just did. And the police officer confirmed that you don't have to have the mask. Did I say I talked to a police officer? I did, yes. And I even asked about the beach thing, because I saw people were having issues on the beach, and know the rights on the beach. Somebody may say something because they just put out there to enforce rules, but a lot of times people are put to enforce rules and they don't really understand what those rules mean. So make sure you know and don't let somebody else make that determination for you. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be obnoxious, you don't have to be cursing or whatever. But if you confront issues, whether it's this or anything else in life, in a calm way, still with respect, let them know that they have to respect, where you're coming from, respect them as well. Again, please do not look at this in the context of everything else that's going on. I know some people can't help it, but at this point, I'm trying to make a point outside of that, right? I understand. I am very aware of what's going on. I've been this complexion all my life. So yes, I know. So, but this is something for everybody. So please know what you're dealing with, know the rules, confront it, challenge it, and make sure that people don't walk on you because of the way they feel, because then it just starts, it builds up, and over time you can get agitated, and it could get ugly, right? Because then it will be the straw that broke the camel's back. So if there's something, somebody's walking over you, work, home, challenge it in a respectful manner, because if you go respectfully, they'll respect you as well. If they don't, then they have other issues, and you can escalate it. Not with violence, but try to escalate it peacefully. My speech has not always been seasoned. I always spoke right from, like, without even thinking. And over time, I still got a lot of work to do, but over time I'm learning how to season my speech with salt, and I've been able to resolve a lot of conflicts that way. And if nothing else, the people understand where I'm coming from, and they respect me as I respect them and their way. We don't have to agree with people, but we do have to respect where they're coming from. So I hope this was helpful. I know that I've said it in my head a couple of times. I'm not trying to be a troublemaker. I'm just trying to stand up for what's rightfully mine, and you should as well. Okay, so I hope this helps. And if you have any questions and you want more information, or if you need help walking through something, please give me a call. I am always here to help you. Smooches, love you. Have a great day.